Right hand side of the screen, I'm going to show you how to enable notifications. That's my phone over on the right hand side of the screen. Save. So that nurse has one task currently. So yeah, that's how that works. You could just keep getting notifications for how busy each of the nurses are, and you could set it up so you get live updates as you finish your work, and you click here and basically mark this as complete. And on the right hand side of the screen you have the app, and you can see how many notifications you currently have for the app, and you could open that up and you can see your notifications at the top right and see which nurse tasks are going on, and you could go to your nurse and they're sorted by however many who has the most tasks open. You could also go to like your floors and see the current floors, and you could have that sorted by which floor is the busiest, so you can see which floor is the busiest at any moment. And I'm just going to go to nurses, and for example this nurse has 2 tasks currently, nurse 1, so I'm going to click in here, I'm going to go to related, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to check this task. So I just completed that task and I got a notification on my phone because that was already completed. But since I'm in the app, it just appears the bell, but if you're in a different app then you get like that little notification you saw before. And obviously now when I go back to that nurse, then they only have 1, and it updates live on your phone too. You could bulk move them from here to a different place. I'm not sure why it's not marked currently, but I'll do that. And so you can move the task to a different page, and so after it's done you could just like streamline and move the task back and forth. So I'll move that there now, and yeah, so you could. So basically I have Doctor 3 has 10 open tasks and 3 closed tasks. Doctor 2 has 1 open task and 6 closed tasks. So I'm going to add a chart. So basically Doctor 3 has 3 completed tasks in all time, and he has 10 open. Doctor 2 has 6 completed tasks and 1 open, and right sidebars. So I want the main region, which will be the list view for the nurses. So I'm going to make this over here, and this will be custom floor tasks. So you can see the currently open floor tasks, and so you can see which floor is busiest and which doctor is busiest, and you're going to click. In this YouTube video I'm going to show you how to build a hospital mobile app for free using Salesforce in about 1 or 2 hours on the Salesforce cloud, and it supports mobile phone, Apple Watch notifications. So I have the how-to on my website and the step-by-step there, but I'll also show you how to build it in a video. So basically you sign into your Salesforce developer trial and you click setup and go to create and custom object, which you'll only have if you're a developer trial at least. So you go here and you're just going to type in nurse and put a 2 down here. Just use the same names as I used. Save and new. Patient. Floor. And for floor, change the object name to nurse, patient, grouping, and then you're going to do hospital. And then I'm also going to make 3 things here called finish task 1, 2, and 3, which I mean you could kind of edit to be people's names at your company. And for this one I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to go to date type auto number, and for the display format I'm going to do that exactly, a curly bracket 0 curly bracket, and then starting number is going to be 1. And now I'm going to click save and new, and now I'm going to do finish task 2. I'm going to do the same data type for that, curly bracket 0, and then starting number is 1. Save it new, and then finish task 3. So basically this will enable you to like hand the work back and forth among all the different people, instead of when it gets auto assigned to the hospital, floor, task, and nurse. In this case you can just hand it from object to object instead of just assigning it. So it just provides more customization, and it looks cooler too because it has like the arrow icon. So that's the last object. You click save, and basically now you created all these objects right here. You can tell they're custom because they have __C, and it says custom object over here in the object manager. So basically, now that you created all of your custom objects, what you're going to do now is you're going to create the fields within the custom objects. So fields are basically the columns. So for the first one, I'm going to go to patient, fields and relationships. So these are the standard fields that are automatically created when you create an object. And if you don't know what an object is, I'll just go over here to the normal Salesforce thing real quick and just show that. So over here under accounts, accounts is an object, and basically you have the account name, account site. These are all the fields within this object accounts. And right now I'm just going to create fields for the patient. So over here under patient, I'm going to press new. And for patient, I'm going to do patient first name, patient last name, which are text fields. So you select data type here. I did text, so I'm going to do patient first name, and I'll just put like the length of characters is 55 as the max character length for the first name, and you press next. Visible, next, save and new, and then I'm going to do another field, text, and this will be called patient last name. Also do like 55 characters as the max. Next. Visible, next, save and new. And yeah, so now I'm going to do, I guess, a reason for a visit as a text field. And this will just be like why the patient is in the hospital. And I'll just limit this to like 70 characters. Now I'll do patient tasks as a text field. Actually, patient tasks as a number field. Next. And this will be called patient tasks. Press next. Save it new. I'm going to do a lookup. Relationship, which I'll explain later. So basically go to lookup and floor, next, next, I'm going to do a master detail for hospital. And then I'm going to do a date in and date out as a date. So you have like when the patient is in and out. And then the last column I'm going to do is cost of treatment as a number. So here are all the fields that I just created on this object, and you can tell they're custom because it has underscore C, similar to the object that the custom objects, they have underscore C for custom objects, same thing for custom fields. So all the custom fields I create have underscore C. So now I'm going to create all the object fields for nurse. Actually, for floor, I'm going to do floor first. Fields and relationships, new. So for floor, I'm going to do let me see what current fields I have. You got floor name as that. So I'm going to do floor tasks as a number. I'm going to do a master detail called pointing towards nurse. I'm going to do a master detail pointing towards hospital. And then I'm going to do a formula for a cost of treatment. So formula, next. And for this one, it's going to be a number. And I'm just going to call this cost of treatment. Next. And for this one, you basically go to advanced formula, insert field, and make this field later. So go to Object Manager, and you're going to go to Nurse now. Fields and relationships, new. And on the nurse object, you're going to do nurse first name, last name as two separate fields. You're going to do nurse specialty. As a text field. So you get a quick overview of what they're best at while looking at other objects. And then you're going to do date started as a date/time field. You're going to do a date since nurse started as a formula. And this is, I guess, just to show like how this works with days since started. So basically you're going to go to, you're going to write now, open parentheses, close parentheses, minus, and then you're going to click insert field, and you're going to select date started, insert, check syntax, and next. Saw that green text there, that means it was fine. So save and new there. And let me see if I did nurse tasks yet. Now I'm going to do nurse tasks as a number field. I'm going to do two roll-up summaries, so count of patients and then count of floors assigned to. So this is a roll-up summary here, and press next, and then I'll go do count of patients, being that I put a master detail column on the patients table. So I guess I'll do for the floor. Did I put a master detail on the patients yet? Let me just go back over to patient. Detail for the nurse first. So basically I'm going to do a nurse master detail here. So the reason I wasn't able to do a roll-up on the nurse is because I didn't have a master detail yet on the patient looking up to it. So I'm going to do master detail on here, patient looking towards nurse, which lets me do a roll-up field on the nurse object. So save that. So now I'm going to go over to nurse, fields and relationships. So now that I have a master detail on patient pointing towards nurse, I could do the count of the patients. So I'm going to do roll-up field next and count of patients. It's going to be pointing towards patients and it's going to be a count. I'm going to press next, visible next, and save and new. And then I'm going to do a roll-up summary of count of floors assigned to. So each of the nurses, they could be assigned to a floor. So I think that's all of the columns here. Let me see. Oh, I could do total cost of patients nursed, I think, as another one. So total cost of patients nursed. And this will be a patient sum cost of treatment. So now that I added that one, I could basically, I think, go to hospital, and on hospital, I'll create the portfolio fields. I'll do hospital name, hospital country, hospital state, hospital street. So I'm just going to do all those text fields now. You can do open number as hospital tasks. Then I'm going to do 2 roll-up summaries. I'm going to do count of patients in hospital. So roll-up summary next. We call that count of patients in hospital, because on the patients table object I also have a master detail pointing towards hospital. So I'm going to go to patients, count, next, visible, next, save and new. Now I'm going to do a roll-up summary of, it'll say count of floors used currently. So this will be a floor, count, next. So it'll count up how many floors are currently in use, how many assignments there are to the different floors. I'm going to press save. And then the last field I'm going to create is a geolocation. So you could do kilometers and miles math between the hospital. So you could go to geolocation under the formulas. If you watch my formulas video, they let you do math with the geolocation function, which shows to 4 decimal places, which shows the latitude and longitude, and you can do math between the different latitudes and longitudes. So my hospital object is done. Let me check my objects real quick. So I think the only one I want to do is maybe nurse. I wanted to add one more column to nurse. Now let me check hospital. Yeah, so for hospital I could add total sum of patients treatment. It'll be a roll-up summary. Next. Sum and cost of treatment. Next. So I think I basically have all the fields. Let me just check through real quick. So I have to, floor. Make sure I have all the right floor fields. Yeah, so I think that's basically good for these. And now on the activity object, I'm going to create a few lookups. So the activity is basically the task object, but this is how you do custom fields on the task object. So for activity, I'm going to do a lookup to the other objects. I'm going to do a lookup to the floor. And the field name for this is going to just be floor. And for this I'm just going to do the task layout. I'm going to do another lookup. And this one is going to be to the hospital. And this field name I'm going to change to owner ID, which will be used later in my Apex code. Now I'm going to do a lookup to nurse. And I'm going to change the field name to who ID, because that will also be used in my Apex code later. Then I'm going to do a lookup to patient. And for the field name, I'm going to change it to pet ID, because that will also be used in my Apex code later. So basically, you create all your objects, and now you're going to create the tabs for each of them. So you go to Setup, and under here you search for tabs, and just make sure you click like where the name is and just double click it. For this I'm going to create custom object tabs, so I'm going to press new, and I'm just going to create an object for each of these, and I'm just going to select a logo that actually makes sense. So I'm going to do patient, and for the patient I'm just going to look for like something that represents people. Yeah, so people, because this will be on the mobile app. This will be the logo on the mobile app for each of these tabs. So for nurse, I guess I'll look for something that's like, I think there's like a doctor one. You got Red Cross here. Let me look to see if there's like a doctor one. I could just do people again, I guess. Then I'm going to do hospital, and I'll select the building for that one. floor, I'm probably going to select the building for this one too, unless there's something that represents like a floor a little bit better. I'll just do building for this one too. And then for finish task, this will just be like how you hand tasks back and forth between all of the people. So I guess like I'll just put like a lightning bolt because you're handing it back quick. So now before I do anything else, I'm just going to go to setup, or over here. I'm going to go to activity settings, and I'm going to double click this, and under here I'm going to uncheck show simpler tasks on mobile. I'm going to click submit. So now that you created those tabs, you're going to create a new Lightning app to assign those tabs to an app. So you're going to go to App Manager and double click here and select New Lightning App, and you're going to name the app like Hospital Management App, and you're going to upload an image here. So I guess let me search all my images. I go to hospital, I'll do a hospital logo. And for the primary color, you could leave this as blue, but this will be like what the tab color is, like when you're selecting the objects for the table. So I'm just going to leave this blue, and I'm going to press next. So I'm going to do standard navigation, desktop and phone setup. I like all that. I'm not going to add a utility item, but those appear on the bottom of the screen for desktop only. And now you're just going to add all of the custom tabs we did before. So I'm going to do hospitals, I'm going to do patient, I'm going to do task, and then I'm going to do nurse. I'm going to put nurses at the top, and I'm going to put patients, and then floor, put floors, and then I'm going to do contacts, because if you watch my Salesforce Outlook integration video, you can send emails on the cases if you integrate your Salesforce add-in to your Microsoft Outlook. So I'm going to do contacts, cases, I'm going to add in reports, so I could add in live reports and create custom public reports and dashboards. And I guess let me check to see if I want to add anything else. I think that's basically it. You could add stuff later too. So I have everything in order how I want it over here, and I'm going to press next, and then here's where you select the user profiles who can view this app when they search for it. So if you watch my Salesforce user profile video, you could see what users are. So I'm going to add in system administrator. I'm going to click save and finish, and basically we created that app now. And now up here on the apps, if you search for it, you'll get it right here. So now you just have to, it has all the objects assigned here. So now for here, you're just going to click all on each of these and then pin them. So I'm going to click all and pin each of these. And then for tasks, you're going to select here and you're going to do table view. You're going to do open tasks, and then over here for filter, you're going to do all tasks, and you're going to remove each of these filters and click save. And then for finish task, you're going to do all, pin it, and then for this, you're going to select finish task name equals, you have to add the names first. So yeah, I'll go back to that. Just press all, pin. So all these are good. Now you're just going to add all the columns to each of these objects that you created before, or the fields that you created before to these objects. So I'm just going to pause my video. So now I'm going to show you how to add all those fields to these objects. So you go to setup, and before that I guess I'll show you this cool thing. So basically if you go to your patient object and page layouts and click your patient layout, and you scroll down to here, you can see all the details that appear on the patient object. And if you want to make a particular field required, you click this wrench here and you select required, you check it here and then press OK, and then you press save up here. So if you want to make sure that whoever is creating a new record or uploading a record, you want to make sure that they enter in a value for that, you can require it. The master details are required as indicated by the star here, because patients point towards hospital and nurse. The floor, the lookup doesn't have a required field, and you actually can upload floors. So now that I showed you that, I'm going to show you how to add all of the fields to the objects. So you're going to go back to your app, and you're going to, on each of these objects, you're going to click this gear and select fields to display. And you're just going to add in all the fields that I say. So you're going to do nurse first name, nurse last name, nurse tasks, nurse specialty, count of patients. You can put count of patient, I'll leave that there. And then count of floors assigned to, days since nurse started, date started, total cost of patients nursed, and I guess that's that for that. So all these columns are now here. So you're going to go to patients and you're going to select the fields to display, and for patients you're basically going to do patient tasks, patient first name, last name, floor, reason for visit, nurse, you can put the nurse a little bit near the floor, reason for visit, hospital, date in, date out, and cost of treatment. You're going to go to floors and you're going to select the fields to display. You're going to do nurse and then hospital, and floor tasks, and that's that. You can go to hospital, select fields to display, and for hospitals you're going to do count of patients, count of floors currently used by the nurses, hospital country, state, street, and city,
Ready yet, Ron?
hospital name, geolocation, and hospital task. You move hospital tasks up so you can see how busy the hospital is, and you're going to do, I guess, total sum of patients treated. So you added all the fields to each of the objects. So now you're going to go to and set up the page layouts for each of these. So we click Setup, Object Manager, and over here under Nurse, you're going to select Page Layouts, Nurse Layout, and you're going to scroll down to Related Lists. So you got floors, patients, and activities. You're going to click the gear icon here, and you're going to add in, you got the floor name, you're going to do hospital, count of patients in hospital, you're going to do hospital, count of floors used, and then you're going to do floor, open floor tasks. Press OK, and then for patients, you're going to select patient tasks, reason for visit, and then date in. And then for activities, you're going to do closed, patient, and next level task. So I'm going to remove some fields here. I'm going to remove status, I'm going to remove related to, and then I'm going to add over patient, and I'm going to add over I'll have to add in another one once I do a lookup field later. So, because I'm going to add in a few more fields to my task or my activity object, but I'll come back to this, and I'll do that after. So under patients, I guess instead of date in, I could do like patient floor, so I can see which floor they're assigned to currently. So you click save on that, put Object Manager, and over here, instead of nurses, now you're going to do the patient page layout. Scroll down, and for the patients, you basically just want the nurse, hospital, I'm just going to move these up because the first 4 fields are the only ones that are shown on the immediate view. I'm going to add another field later too. Press save, Object Manager, and you're going to go to hospital now, change the page layout, and for patients, you're going to do patient tasks, reason for visit, and nurse tasks, so you can see how each of them are in terms of busyness. And then for floors, you're going to do nurse name, nurse specialty, and nurse tasks. So and then for activities, you're going to do patient, nurse, and floor. I'm going to remove, I guess, status. Press OK, and then save. So I guess the last one you're going to do is I think I did each of them. So now you're going to go to setup and you're going to create a column under users all the way at the bottom, and fields and relationships. So you're going to create a new column, and this is going to be called a number field. Next. So now basically under the app you have all of the different fields that you wanted to make. So you have all these fields here, you have all these fields here, all these fields here, and all these fields here. And you create all the page layouts, and you have all the columns assigned to the object. So now I'm going to show you how to make all the Apex code, and then I'll start creating records after I set up all the Apex code. So to set up Apex code, you basically click this gear here and you go to Developer Console, and here's what the Developer Console looks like. And you can press File, New, and Apex Trigger, and you're going to call this Task Trigger 2, and this is going to be on the task object. Press Submit. And I'm just going to paste in the code, which you get from my website. And here's all the code. I'll scroll through real quick so you can write it down yourself if you don't want to go to my website. I'm going to have to make small adjustments to the prefixes because they change every time you create new objects, and the prefixes that get assigned to the custom objects, they just they change when you first create the object. They're given a prefix. So let me just scroll through the rest of this code and then I'll change the prefixes. Alright, so that's all the code there. So basically for the prefixes, I'm going to debug and get each of the keys. So I'm going to go to debug, open execute anonymous window, and now I'm going to enter in this code, which you could also copy from my website. So for each of the objects, I'm going to go one by one. So for hospital, let me go with the hospital prefixes. I'm going to click open log and execute. And right here is the case sensitive prefix A0H. So that's the hospital. It's A0H. And then I'm going to close this out, debug, open execute, and set a hospital. Now I'm going to type in nurse, and I'm going to click execute. So this one is A0E for nurse. And now I'm going to do patient. I'm going to close this out, debug, and I'm going to do patient. And this is just the object name, patient __ C here. So I'm going to press execute. And for this one, it's A0F. And then for close this out, debug, execute anonymous. So for floor, I had a special name for floor. It was nurse _ patient _ grouping for that object. If you go to the object manager and press execute there. And this one is A0G. And it's case sensitive, so I don't do capital, it's lowercase. So I close that. So now I'm just going to change the prefixes in like 8 different places. Very simple. So for hospital, it's A0H. So I'm going to copy this here. And I'm going to overwrite that there. And I'm just going to look for the next hospital, which is down here. I see hospital IDs here, so I'm just going to overwrite that. Now I'm going to overwrite the patients, so I'm going to scroll back to the top, and I'm going to look for where it says patients. So here's patients, it mentions patient IDs there, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says patient ID again. I'm going to overwrite that, and then for nurse, I'm going to copy that, scroll to the top, and for nurses, I'm going to paste that, nurse ID, and I'm going to scroll down to the next one, so nurse ID right here, I'm going to paste over that, and then for floor, I'm going to scroll to the top again, paste over that, there's floors. I'm going to scroll down to here, and I see floor IDs, I'm going to paste over that. And then for users, you just leave a 005 because it's a standard object and it doesn't change with the prefix. So this is done now, and I'm going to basically press file and save. So task trigger 2 is completed now. And what this will do is it will live aggregate. I walked through in my second Apex video what all this code means, and I'm not going to walk through it now, but what it basically does is it live aggregates all of the tasks by each of the objects, and it deaggregates as you complete tasks. So each single task could get assigned to multiple different objects. It could get assigned to a hospital and or a floor or a patient or a nurse, and then that single task, when you mark it off, it gets marked off for all of them, and it also aggregates for all of them and deaggregates for all of them, and it doesn't need to be assigned to all of them. But the task will last there on the object forever for audit. And now that I set up this, I'm going to do something else. Let me think real quick. Let me just... so now I'm going to create a few more triggers. I'm going to close this trigger out. And you don't have problems if the problems didn't have any numbers next to it. You can't save unless the problems are cleared. So I'm now going to do new Apex trigger, and this will be, I'm going to do it on floor. So I'm going to select floor, or nurse patient grouping, yes, and not nurse patient grouping change event, so nurse patient grouping __C, and this one will be called not null floor. Press submit, and for this one, let me just go over here. I'm going to paste that in. So basically, you're just going to copy this code from my website, and the only thing you need to do is press save. So I got not null floor, so whenever you create a new floor record, it will make the floor task equal to 0, even if you leave it null, because the Apex code can only aggregate and deaggregate if it has a value. So it's automatically going to assign it 0 when the record is created and when the record is uploaded. So I'm going to close this out, file, new, Apex trigger, and now I'm going to do hospital. So I'm going to select hospital, and I'm going to call it not null hospital, submit, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to copy this code in. I'm going to press file and save. I'm going to close that out, file, new, Apex trigger, and I'm going to do not null patient. I'm going to paste that in and press file and save. I'm going to do another Apex trigger, and this will be on nurse. Not null nurse. Press file and save on that. So I think these are done now, and let me just scroll through my notes. So now you're going to create a task next level. So in order to do this, I'll need to first create some pick lists. So I'm going to come back to this Apex developer console in a little. I'm going to close this out. And right now I'm going to go to Setup. And I'm going to go to pick list value sets. And each pick list can hold up to 100 values, which you can select from a list box. So I'm going to press New. And I'm going to do pick list task and assigned underscore to underscore pick list. So let me write these out. And for pick list task, I'm going to do finished 1, finished 2, and finished 3 as each of them. I'm going to do display values alphabetically, and I'm going to press save. So I made this pick list. Let me go to pick list value sets, and now I'm going to do assigned space to pick list, and you need to use these names. So for this one, I'm going to basically enter in the username, which is Brian Nolan. So you can enter in all the different usernames who you want to assign it to here. So if you don't know how to access all your users, you go to Setup, and under here you can go to Users and double click here, and you can see all the users currently in your system. So right now for each of the users, just press Edit, and next to number of open tasks, just put a 0 here, because those Apex triggers that make it 0 for the other objects, you can't make it 0 if it's over here. So just press Save for number of tasks, and basically click Edit here, and over here for number of open tasks, you're going to put that over there, and then press Save. So now I can see all the number of open tasks at a user level as well, in addition to all the different objects. So I mean, here's my user here is Brian Nolan, and I'm just going to add in that username here, and I'm going to press display values alphabetically and save. So I created my 2 pick lists, and now I'm going to create those fields on my finished task objects. So I'm going to go to Object Manager, and under Activity, I'm going to add in 2 fields called that. So it'll be pick list next, and this will be pick list task, and I'll do pick list task next, visible next. I'll just do it on the task layout, save and new, and then I'll do another pick list called assign to pick list, and I'll select next, visible next, and save. So now I'm going to go to the Object Manager, and before assigning it to finish task 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to change the page layout for nurse, patient, floor, and hospital. So I'm going to go to nurse, page layout, nurse layout. Under activities, I want, let's see, so pick list task is like what stage is going to, and then assign to pick list is the next person it's going to. So I'm going to drag that over there, and now under like the activities, I'll be able to see where the patient is going next. So I'm going to press OK and save. I'm going to go to Object Manager, and I'll select patient now, page layouts, patient layout, and for here under activities, I want assign to pick list, because that'll be where the patient's going to next. So I'm going to remove one of these fields here. I'm going to remove last modified, and I'm going to do assign to pick list. I'm going to drag that to the top in the top 4 columns. I'm going to press OK and save. object manager, and floor, fields and relationships, page layout. I can do activities, and for the floor, I want assign to pick list. I'm going to remove due date and put assign to pick list over here. Drag this up. So for floor, I also want like nurse. So I'm going to remove priority, and I'm going to do nurse because I want the nurses on each of the floors, and I want who the patient's going to next. And I'm going to remove the name here, and I'm going to put patient, I guess. So I'm going to put patient up here. Press OK, and I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to go object manager and hospital, page layouts, hospital layout. And for this one, I'm going to go down to activities, and looks like that's good already. And let me check like patients. That one's good, and floors, that's good. Let me just check each of these. So hospital, floor. Maybe I can add in. Yeah, so I'm going to do patients for the floor. So patients, I want the nurse that they're going to. I want patients tasks, and I guess maybe the reason for their visit. I'm going to press save there. And then now I'm going to go to the finished task objects, and I'm going to create fields under each of these similar to as what I did in the activity field. And these are just going to be pick lists, and I'm going to do assigned to pick list. I'm going to do another pick list, and this one will be called pick list task. Then I'm going to go to fields and relationships, finish task 2, page layouts, no, fields and relationships new, and I'm going to do a pick list here, same as I did on the last object. I'm going to do a pick list task. Save and new. Then I'm going to do another pick list. Assigned to pick list. And select that one. Next. Save. Now I'm going to go to finish task 3 and do the same thing. So now I created those fields. I'm going to go back to the Apex trigger, and I'm going to add in more code. So I'm going to go to Developer Console, and I'm going to press File, New, and Apex trigger. So basically for this one, I'm going to add in 4 separate triggers. I'm going to do task next level. So first I'm going to select task, and this will be called task next level. Let me just open up my code for here, which you can copy from my website. So I'm going to copy that and press there. So here's all the code here. I'm going to press File and Save. What this basically will do is on your task, when you create a new record, you're going to select the pick list for assigned to pick list, and you're going to select whether it's going to finished 1, finished 2, or finished 3. So you could assign it to multiple different people as like who the patient goes to next from a pick list box. The pick list can hold up to 100 values, so you could assign it to 100 different doctors or 100 different users. And you could just create multiple pick lists too. So I'm just going to press File and Save and close this out. And I'm going to do a new Apex trigger. And this one will be on Finish Task Next Level 1. So I'm going to go to Finish Task 1. And I'm going to open up this one. And I'm going to paste in this code, which you get from my website. I'm going to press Submit. I didn't write a different name. So this one is called Finished Task Next One, I think. Let me see. In my Word. It's called Finished Task Next One, yeah. Submit. And paste that in. And click Save. So when it's at the first person, it could also be sent to the second person or the third person. And you could basically just hand the task back and forth among all the people as many times as you want, unlimited. So I'm going to close this, File, New, Apex Trigger, and I'm going to go to Finish Task 2. So it just allows for even more customization. Yep, it'll make sense in a little bit. So when I start creating records, so I'm going to go to Finish Task 2 and press Submit. I'm going to paste in this code and press File and Save. I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to do File, New, Apex Trigger, and Finish Task 3. I'm going to open up this one, which you get from my website. I'm going to paste in this code and press File and Save. So now I think all of the Apex code is basically done. And now I'm going to set up the path with the pick lists. So I'm going to go, and then I'm going to assign that to the record page layout. So I'm going to go over here to Setup. You're going to click here, Setup. And you're going to Path, and you're going to do Path Settings. And you're going to enable paths. Press New Path. And this path will be for, I guess, Finish Task 1. And it'll be on Finish Task 1. And the pick list you're going to do is the pick list task. And you're going to press Next. So it has Finish 1, Finish 2, and Finish 3. In my Salesforce for Dummies Part 2 video, I show you how to add fields here. I'm not going to do that in this one. I'm going to press Next, and I'm going to activate my path and enable celebrations, so that you get celebrations every time you move from stage to stage, and it's always going to celebrate. Press Finish. I'm going to do a new path, and this will be called Finished Task 2, or Finished Task 2, pick list task, Next, do all that stuff again. Always finish, new path, finish task 3, and finish task 3, pick list task, next, always finish. So now that I created these 3 paths, I'm going to go to the Object Manager, and for finish task 1, I'm basically going to go to Lightning Record Pages and press New. And I'm going to do a record page next, and I'm just going to call this Finish Task 1 Record Page Custom. I'm going to select Finish Task 1 here, and I'm going to do, I think, header and 1 region. And I'm going to click Finish. Press OK. So here is, I'm going to add in a list view pointed towards Finish Task 1. And then I'm also going to add in a path. You can only add in paths on record pages in the Lightning Record Builder. So I'm going to do path, and I'm going to set up a path Just do finish task 1, next, and finish. I'm going to click save, and I'm going to click activate, and I'm going to do it as a app default for hospital management app for desktop and phone, and I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to go to Object Manager, finish task 2, and I'm going to do lightning record pages, new. I'm going to do record page, and this will be finish task 2. I'll just call it like custom record page. Press next. Same thing for that. Do that, and then I'll go to here, and I'll do finish task 2. And for this one, I'm going to add in the path up here, and it'll be finish task 2. I'll click save for this, and activate, and I'll do app default, assign as app default for hospital management app, desktop and phone, save, and then I'll make another one. I'll go to Object Manager and finish task 3. And for this one, it will be lightning record pages, new, record page next. This will be called finish task 3, record pages next, and that one. Okay. Press list view, and I mean, you could add in like more records than 3, you could do like 10. And then for path, I'll do that up there, and I'll click save, activate, app default, that app, that, save. So that's done. And then close out all those, and I'll go over to object and app, and I'll go to hospital management app, and for finish task 1, I'm just going to add in the column. So I'm going to select the fields to display, and I want pick list task and assign to pick list here. I want pick list task and assign to pick list here. So now all those fields are created, and I have the path set up, which I'll show you in a little bit. And I mean, now for if you go to setup, I'm going to go to Object Manager and record types for each of those. So I'm going to do finish task 1 and record types. I'm going to do page layout assignment, and for this is where you could assign that custom record page that you made to each of the profiles. Your system administrator, which I am. I'm going to click edit assignment, and I'm going to select next to there, and I'm going to select press new here. I guess you don't need to do that. So now I'm going to go over to going to show you, I guess, the upload file. So I'm going to go to home, and under, first I'm going to, I guess, create a patient record. So I'm going to go to new. I'm just going to create something from the get-go. So this will be called like patient1, first name, last name. I'll do patient1 first name, and then I'll do patient1 and last name. The reason for his visit will be sick. Patient has to leave his blank. Floor, I'm just going to create a floor too. I'll just do like floor 1, and floor test to leave blank. And then nurses, I'll just create a new nurse. So the nurse will be, I guess, like nurse 1 first name, last name. And then I'll just do like nurse 1 first name, and then I'll just do like nurse 1 and last name. And over here I'll select the date started as the 11th, and the task is 0 currently. In specialty I'll do brain healing, save. And then for the hospitals for this floor, I'll add this to hospital 1, and this will be called hospital 1, and it'll be in United States, New Jersey, and this will be like Jersey Central, and this will be called like Jersey Avenue, and the latitude will be like 50 and 40, and I'll click save on that. So I create this floor with this nurse and this hospital. Click save. Obviously, if I had the hospital and all the other stuff selected already, now the hospital's there already, so it's easier. You could just check it. So this patient's here that day, he goes out that day, and his cost of treatment is $5,555. And then there's that nurse I created, so I'm going to press save. So obviously under patients now, I have like one new patient, I have like one new floor, I have one new hospital, and one new nurse. So if I go to patients, I guess I'll show you like the page layouts that we were doing before. So I'm going to go and click on nurse, and then I'm going to go to related. So you can see like the floors. There's currently one patient in the hospital, and this nurse is assigned to one floor, and there are currently 0 floor tasks. The patient has 0 tasks, he's sick, and he's on floor 1. And if you go to patients, you click here, and there's nothing here because there are no patient tasks. So basically the nurses has a lot of details. The floors have slightly less details. They just have the patients and the current tasks. So you got the patient, 0 patient tasks, sick. And then the hospitals has all of the patients, floors, and activities going on currently. So you can see all the patients, you can see all the floors that are currently used in the hospital, and this will make more sense when I have more data in. So basically, I'm going to pull up the developer console, and I'm going to do a quick query. So for this one, I'm going to get a query for the upload file that I'm going to use. So I'm going to upload a lot of patients. So basically, for this, instead of selecting like a user, I'll show you how to select a user first, and then I'll show you how to select all of the other objects. So I'm going to go to Object Home, and I'm going to search users, and I'm going to double click the user. So I want the ID for Brian Nolan. So I'm going to open up this query editor. I'm going to select ID and name from user, where name equals Brian and Nolan. So I'm going to click execute. So this is the ID. ID is a system field. If you watch my Salesforce Aqua video, you can find out what the system fields are, but ID is basically a unique identifier for each of the different records, and I got the identifier for this user here. So that's how you get the unique identifier for a particular user. So if I want it for a particular floor, you can keep these handy in an Excel file so you could upload stuff a lot faster. Because basically, let me open up my patient file. So I'm going to open up patient upload 9. So basically, you got the hospital here, you got the nurse here, and you can upload floors because it's a lookup, but hospital nurse you can. And since it's a master detail, you need to use this ID in order to upload, because you can't upload which is the name. It has to just be the ID. So that's why that's useful. So let me close out this file. And I guess I'll get like I'll show you how to switch between the different objects in Sockwell right now. So I'm going to select the ID and the name from the nurse __ C, where the name equals nurse 1 first name last name. Press execute. So this is the nurse. So I'm going to go over to my upload file, and for the nurse I'm going to paste that in there, and now I'm going to get the hospital that I want. So now I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to do hospital __ C, and where the name equals, this is just based on the first column, hospital 1, and I'm going to press execute, and I'm going to paste this into my upload file. So I'm going to do hospital, and for this upload file, basically how it works is I'm going to assign them all to the same hospital, all to the same nurse, and I'll just say they're all in the same days and out the same days. And I mean, basically the patient name has to be unique because that's the first column, and for the patient, and then that's like the name column. And basically you don't upload floors. I'm going to have to select the floors, and the reason for their visits, they're just going to be all New York. I'm going to actually create an auto assign task thing, and so let me just save this file, and first I'll show you why the tasks are useful, and then I'll create an auto assign thing for this column. It'll be like, if it's New York, then it'll auto assign a task to a particular nurse. So let me go over and minimize the file, and then I'll show you how to save the file. Basically press file and save as, browse, and you select this, and you CSV UTF, and you save it as a CSV file for upload. And I mean, the column names in particular, you go over to patients. You don't have to select all of the column names. You just need the required fields. If you don't know how to check which required fields are, you press new, and you search for anything that has a star here. So nurse, hospital, and patient are the 3 required fields, and 2 of them are master details, nurse and hospital. So basically those you need to use the ID field to upload to the master details. So basically, and floor, you just don't have that column because you can't upload to lookups. And for the first name, that's not a master detail, it's just whatever the name is. So I have this column here. You could add in as many columns as you want, and they don't need to be in order. And if you use the same name as the column name that you created, then basically, if you use the same name as the column that you created, it'll match off automatically. But let me show you why the tasks are useful. So that Apex code we built before, when you create a new task, like currently, like patient tasks are 0 for patient 1, the nurse tasks are 0, the floor tasks are 0, and the hospital tasks are 0. So let me go to task and press new task, and the subject will be like call patient 1, and then for floors I'm going to assign it to the floor task, hospital task, nurse task, and patient task. And for pick list task, I'm going to do finished 1, and I'm going to assign it to this person next. So you don't need to check any of these, but I'm just going to check all of them. I'm going to press save. So now when you refresh, you have all these tasks. Let me just add in some columns for tasks. So for tasks, I want to see the floor, the hospital, the nurse, the patient, and let me just move those columns up. Alright, and then I'm going to do pick list task. Let me remove priority and assigned alias and last modified by alias, and then I'll add in over the pick list task and the assigned to pick list, and I'll add those up here. And and you click save. So this task that I just created, you can actually auto-assign tasks, but you could create tasks manually and assign work to people, and they'll get notifications, which I'll show you how to enable in a little bit. Basically, I created a task, so now this nurse has one task, this patient has a task, this floor has a task, and this hospital has a task. So it's useful because if you're under like the related, you could see under the nurse, for example, you could see how many tasks are currently outstanding for the patients assigned to the nurse. You could see how many tasks are outstanding for the floor that the nurse is assigned to. And also any tasks that get assigned to the nurse, they all appear under activities for the nurse. So those just will keep aggregating forever, and you'll have a record history of all of your work. And when you mark a task off as complete, all of the related objects that get tagged with the task also get marked off and deaggregate live. So while the nurses are walking around, they can mark the task off as completed, and all of the related objects related to that task will also deaggregate live. So you can see how much work is outstanding for everyone at all levels. So I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to go to related, and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click mark complete, which you could also do on your mobile phone. So now the nurse has 0 tasks, the patient has 0 tasks, the floor has 0 tasks, the hospital has 0 tasks. And being that under task, I have assigned to pick list, I selected finished 1. So being that I selected that, when you complete the task, it goes to finish task 1 now. So what's cool about this is this will be like the next level of the task, or how you could quickly assign tasks to other people. So this is the path that we created before. So you click here, and I can mark this as the current pick list. So I'm going to do that, and now it's currently at it made a new record here for finished task 2. So there's obviously nothing for finished task 3. But I'm going to go over here, and I'm actually just going to filter finished task 1 by pick list task, and I only want to see equals finished 1. I'm going to press done and save. So now there's nothing here. I'm going to go to finish task 2 and filter. I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to do pick list task and finish 2 for finish 2 page, and then for finish task 3 I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to do pick list, and I'm going to do finish task 3. I'm going to press done and save. So now under finish task 2 I could actually you could edit here and switch it to finish task 3, or you could click in here and get this fancy view, and I'm going to finish it, mark this as finish task 3. So now it removes it from the finish task 2 page, it puts it on the finish task 3 page, and now I'm just going to go over here, and I'm just going to move this back to finish task 1. So I moved back to finish task 1, and that one didn't work. So let me go up to here and go to the developer console, and I'm going to open up finish task 3. I'm going to go to finish task 3 next. Oh, so I didn't paste in that code here. So let me go over to VBA code, and I'm going to go to VBA video path and finish task 3. And let me just open up this Word file, and I'm just going to copy this in right here, and I'll press save, and I'll try that again. Oh yeah, I got a problem. So 2, 1, and if it equals 1, then I want it to go over to finish task 1, and then I want, oh, so for this one it needs to be 2 and 2. Let me see what happens here. And this should be finished task 3, 3, 3, and this should be 2, 2, 2, 2. And let me see what this says. Alright, yeah, so I just wrote that wrong before. So here's finished task 3. Now I'm just going to walk through that again. So I'm going to go to task. Obviously this mark is completed, and it no longer aggregates on any of the other things. So I'm just going to create a new task, and I'm just going to be like email patient 1. I'm going to search floors, hospitals, and that. So I'm going to assign it to finish 2 first, and then I'm going to select Brian. So now obviously that aggregates on all of them, and I'm just going to basically sort those by most recent, and I'm going to select email patient. I'm going to mark it as complete, which will send it to finish task 2. So I'm going to click in this one. I'm going to send it back to finish task 1. So now it's back at 1. Now I'm going to send that back to 2. I'm going to mark that as complete. Now it's back at 2. So now I'm going to click here and I'm going to send it to 3. So it went back to 3. Now I'm going to click over here and send it back to 1. So I send it back to 1. So you could just pass the task back and forth among all the different people as many unlimited times as you want. And so that's why that's useful with the path thing. If you just need to just unlimited pass tasks back and forth after they're completed. But basically you could assign tasks, and what's cool about it is now I have these 2 tasks and they're both closed on the nurses page, and then obviously you go to the patients page and you click related, and obviously these were the 2 tasks that were assigned to the patient, and you could move over the columns for tasks if it's completed or not. Or you could just have it so you can see who the patient's going to next, whichever you prefer. You can modify that in the page layout. And then you go to floors and you could click over here and you see there's 0 tasks outstanding, and you go to hospitals and you can see all the hospital tasks that are currently going on in that hospital. So now that I showed you like how to manually assign tasks, I'm going to go back to that upload file we created before, and before I upload, I'm going to create a process builder that will auto assign a task to this nurse, and it'll be based on, I guess, whichever column you want, but I'm just going to do reason for visit. So if the reason for visit is New York, it's going to assign a task to that nurse. And let's see how many records there are. There are 104, so I'm going to make sure that that nurse gets 104 records. So I'm just going to pause my video real quick. So now I'm going to create the process builder. So we go to setup, and the process builder will auto assign tasks. It's very useful, just like the workflow rules. If you watch my Salesforce for Dummies Part 2 video, so I'm going to click process builder. I'm going to press new. So this lets you just automate tasks. So this will be like, I'll call this like automatic tasks New York nurse 1. And I'll do when a record changes. Click save. So for this I'm going to add an object, and I'm going to add in the patient object. And I'll do when a record is created. Let me think. If it's edited to New York, I want it to auto get assigned to that doctor as well. So say if a current reason for visit is headache and then it gets switched to New York, then this doctor will also automatically get it. Because you could change the value of multiple records at once, and then you could just auto assign currently existing records to that doctor as well. So I'm going to press save, and I'm going to add in criteria, and for this criteria name it's just going to be called like auto assign if reason for visit is New York. I'm going to select the field, and for this I'm going to do patient and reason for visit. Choose, and I'm going to do equals New York. And all of these conditions are true. Save. So if that is true, then what I wanted to do is I want to create a new task. So I'm going to create a task record, and under record type I'm going to select task, and for assign to ID, this is where you use the user thing I showed you before in Sockwell. So you're going to open up your developer console, and you're going to go to query editor, and you're going to basically paste in this, so you could select which user you want. So for my user, you could assign tasks at a user level. So I'm going to go to execute, and I'm going to paste in this. Tasks I get assigned to a user level. Before I go any further, I'm just going to go over here to setup and users and refresh. So currently this user has 0 tasks. The user is the profile that's associated with Salesforce. So I'm assigning it to my profile. Obviously I'm this person, which I just looked up in the Sockwell editor. So I'm going to do assign to ID and that ID. Now I'm going to select, for this one, I'm going to select hospital and ID. So I'm going to get the hospital ID from, I guess, just over here, the same way as I got it before. And then I'm going to go to my status, and I'm going to select this as not started. And for, I guess, priority, you could set like priorities for any fields that get set to that, and you could just do like, oh, all the New Yorks are high, and you could go to your subject and just be like new task for New York, and then over here, so you can customize whatever the task subject will say when you have it. So, and then I'll do nurse ID, floor ID, and patient ID. So I'll do nurse, floor, and patient. So nurse I can get from over here, and patient I'll just assign all of the patients to this patient. That's kind of pointless to do because you're uploading new patients. I don't need to do this, but I'll just assign it to this patient anyway. So select ID name from patient _ C, where name equals patient 1 first name last name. Execute. So I'm going to take that in. So patient, and then for floor, I'm going to go to floors, and basically I'm going to select ID name from, and then nurse patient grouping has a weird name, so nurse patient grouping _ C. I'll show you that right now. So if you go to Object Manager and over here under floor, so this was the name for the nurse patient grouping. So where name equals, I'll do floor 1. And I'll do that. So I'll copy in that ID over into the process builder. So floor 1, nurse 1, patient 1, and hospital 1 will all receive tasks when the record that's getting uploaded says New York for reason of visit. I'm going to press save, and I'm going to click activate, which will activate this process builder. So now if anyone creates a manual record that says reason for visit New York, it'll auto assign all of those respective objects with tasks. But now I'm just going to go to patients. So you can actually upload up to 50,000 records at once. So I'm going to upload this current file that I made, the CSV file, and I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go to add new records, match by name, and I'm going to check this so that the process builder works when you upload. I'm going to select CSV, and I'm going to go to all files, and I'm going to go to patient upload, and press next, and it matched all the columns based on the names, and it doesn't say any fails, so I'm going to press next. Map fields are 9. I'm going to start import and press OK. So down here, when your upload is done, it basically says which records failed, so you just have to check to see if any records failed. They'll process properly. So now, basically, if I go to my nurses, he has 104 tasks, as I said. This patient has 104 tasks, this floor has 104 tasks, and this hospital has 104 tasks, and there are 105 patients because I had that one patient before. And then this nurse has 105 patients now because I assigned that patient to that nurse. And basically, now under here, under nurses, I have 104 tasks. in total. So what's cool about this is basically I can what's basically cool about this is like go to nurses and related. So I could check on each of these tasks and I can mark them as complete. So I'll just mark like, and as I mark them as complete, all the related objects associated with that task also deaggregate. So it's 103 now, 103, 103, and 103. So now I might just go down the line and let me just sort this. I'll sort this by not closed, or whatever. So let me click here and mark this as complete. Let me go to nurses, mark complete. Mark complete. So obviously now the nurse has 100 tasks, patient has 100 tasks, floor has 100 tasks, hospital has 100 tasks, and all that stuff. So obviously nothing's getting sent over here because I didn't upload a value for the pick list that was equal to pick list value 1. So when you're creating a task, if you don't do a pick list task, then obviously you don't need to send it to the next stage after the thing is completed. But if you do, then you can send it to the different stages. And that's just great at the time that you upload or that you create the task. So now I'm just going to, I guess, create like a few nurses. So this nurse has 105 patients. I'm just going to create like another nurse. It'll be like nurse 2, first name, last name. I'll just do like nurse 1, or nurse 2, first name, nurse 2, last name, and this person will be specialized in headaches, and they started then, and they have 0 tasks. So obviously when you create a new nurse, they have 0 tasks at that time. And I'm going to create a task and assign it to this nurse. So I'm going to go to new task, and I'm going to go and I'll be like call patient 1. And then I'll search the floors. You don't have to, I'll just assign this only to nurse 2. And after it's done, I won't do any of that. So I'll just do only nurse 2. So now nurse 2 has 1 task and all the other people still have 100. And when I mark off that nurse's task, it'll just mark it off for that person. So click here and I'll mark it as complete. So now that nurse has 0 tasks. Obviously they have 0 patients currently. So I'm going to go to patients and I'm going to click here and I'm going to create a new patient and assign it to that nurse. So I'm going to do new and just be like patient 2, first name, last name. Reason for visit, say like headache, and floors, it'll be on floor 1, hospital 1, and day in, day out. Cost of treatment is $9.99, and the nurse will be nurse 2. So I'll click save. So now obviously this nurse has 1 patient, and under here I can view that patient and what floor they're on, and they currently have 0 tasks. I have 0 tasks. And let me go to patients. So if you go to tasks, you can actually filter this by, instead of all tasks, you could just do my task, which is based on the username, or you could do my team's tasks. You could just do all tasks, and then you could filter a particular field. So I'll just filter by, I guess, like nurse. I only want to see nurse 1, first name, last name, for when I'm signed in. So you could customize this and click done and basically save, and you can make sure the task page is only related to you, and then you could filter this, and you could sort it by like whatever, but you could just go quickly to your object, and you could set up process builders for your object, so when you get assigned a task, a notification appears on your phone and on your Apple Watch. So now that I showed you how to create an upload file, how to upload, and how the tasks get moved back and forth among all the objects, and how they aggregate and deaggregate live on each of the objects that get assigned to, and how to create manual tasks, and what all the basic Apex code does, I guess I'll just quickly walk through the lookup fields in the master detail. So on nurses, if you click here in the first column, the name column, and you go to related, floors and patients have master detail columns on each of these objects pointing towards nurses, and that's why they're under the related list here. And then activities is a lookup if you go to activity and object manager, there's a lookup towards the nurses. So all the lookups and master details both become under the related list for objects. And then under patient, if I click in here, I just see activities, because patient has nothing looking up to it, and patients looks up to floor and has master details pointing towards nurses and hospitals. So it just has the patient's activities, because you don't want any other details besides patients. So you can quickly click on a patient and see what they have to do. And then if you go to floor, you go to related, you can see all the patients and all the activities, because patients look up to the floors. And basically when you create a patient, you assign them to a floor, and you assign them to a nurse, and you assign them to a hospital. So at the time that you're creating the patient, that's basically when you pair the nurse count of floors assigned to that particular floor and to that particular patient and hospital. So when you're creating the patient, you're uploading everything, and you're setting all the basic pairings, because when you create a patient, you want to pair a nurse to that patient and a floor to that patient, and that'll be like where they meet. You could change floors to be rooms, and you could pair the nurse and the patient to the room. And the reason I chose a lookup for patients to floors basically is if you delete a floor, then the patient just is no longer assigned to that floor. So let me sort by floors, and I just have 2 patients assigned to floor 2 or floor 1. So basically under hospitals, I have like currently there's 1 floor used in the hospital. There are 106 patients in the hospital. And the nurses, this guy has 105 patients, this guy has 1 patient. And then basically if I delete the floors, that's a quick way of basically like decoupling the patient, the nurse, and the hospital. So if I go here and I delete the floor, then basically under patients, the floor doesn't exist anymore, and nothing happens. All the patient records still exist, all the hospitals still exist, and the count of floors currently used is 0, and all the nurses still exist, and the count of floors assigned to is 0. So basically that's a quick way of just knowing how many floors you're assigned to. If you just delete the floor, nothing really happens. But basically all the patients assigned to that floor become null, because they're no longer assigned to a floor. But you can click here, and obviously there are no floors, but if there were floors, then you could select a different floor for that patient. So you could reassign the patient to different floors. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'm just going to create like a new floor called like floor 2, and I'm going to select nurse 1 and hospital 1. So now when I click save, obviously this nurse has 1 floor that they're assigned to, and they just got another patient. And under patients, this guy is assigned to floor 2, and under floors you got floor 2's there, and then hospital 2 has 1 floor currently used. So that's a quick way of aggregating how many floors are currently used. And if you actually obviously go to like your floor, and you could sort by floor tasks, so you can see which floor is currently the busiest based on all of the activities, tasks assigned to the floor. So you could avoid certain floors and manage where people are in the building very easily. And also obviously you could upload and then just select floors for all these different people, and click save. So I mean, obviously you could just check all of these and then just update all 50 items and assign them all to floor 2, and then click save. And that doesn't happen. Let me refresh this. So let me check all these and unselect this one and apply. I think it's just only because I have one record selected at the top. So let me click refresh, and I'm just gonna deassign this person. I'm gonna delete that, deassign them from the floor. And now I'm just gonna select all the records, and I'm gonna check here and floor 2, and I'm gonna update the 50 selected items, and I'm gonna click save. I don't know why that's having errors, but you could select them one by one and assign them to each of the floors, and I don't know why that's having errors. It's pretty dumb. So basically, now I'm going to show you how to set up notifications so that you can get notifications on your phone when you get the task, similar to beginning into the video. So I'm just going to show it from start to finish. So basically, actually I'm going to create a new app page. First, I'm going to go to and create like reports. So under reports, what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to do a new report, and let me just pause my video. So now I'm going to show you how to create like reports on a custom app like this. And before I do that, I'm just going to show you a particular concept. So under floors, if you go here and you click new and you're searching your hospitals, see how I have like that detail under there with the state? In order to do that, you basically go over here to your object manager, and I switched go to setup. I switched my accounts just to demonstrate this. So I'm going to go over to hospital, and I'm going to select search layouts, and over here you select whichever profile you want to change the lookup for. So I'm going to go over here. So basically I'm a system administrator, so I move state over under the hospital object so that you can see when you're under other objects using master details or lookups of the hospital, you can see additional fields underneath it, so you can differentiate if the hospitals have the same name, if you have two hospitals with the name hospital 1. So basically I'm going to show you how to create something like these live reports over here. So I'm going to go to report, and I'm going to do a new report, and basically I'm going to do a task and events. I'm going to press continue, and under filters I'm going to filter by all activities. I'm going to press done, and for the day range I'm going to do all range. You could do however many days you want. I'm going to do open and completed activities, and I'm going to do all tasks, and I'm going to refresh, and for here I'm just going to select closed, and over here I'm going to select nurse. So I'm going to drag nurse up to rows, and I'm going to drag number closed up here, and I'm going to click refresh. So basically I have Doctor 3 has 10 open tasks and 3 closed tasks. Doctor 2 has 1 open task and 6 closed tasks. So I'm going to add a chart, and I'm going to click refresh. And then over here under the chart settings I'm going to do stack column, and I'm going to refresh again. So basically Doctor 3 has 3 completed tasks in all time, and he has 10 open. Doctor 2 has 6 completed tasks and 1 open. So I'm going to click save and run, and I'm just going to call this public report 1 doctor tasks. And I'm just going to go over here, select folder, and do public reports. And over here for chart whatever, I'm just going to do open and closed tasks all time nurses. And I'm going to save and run, and let me just save it again, I guess. So I'm just going to name it as custom 1 doctor open tasks. So I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to do another report. So I'm going to do another report, and it'll be the same kind of thing. Task and events, continue, filter, and I'll do all activities, I'll do all day ranges, I'll do open and completed activities and tasks. I'll click apply, and for this one I'm just going to do floors, and I'm going to do number closed. So I'm going to add floor up 2 rows, and I'm going to add closed up 2 columns, and click refresh. Once you add the grouping, you could add in the charts. So I got 0 open activities or tasks for floor 1, 1 task closed for floor 1. So you get a report basically on your custom app that I'm going to show you how to build with the live data of which floors are the busiest. So I'm going to add a chart and click refresh, and I'm going to go over here and stack column, and I'm just going to call this, I guess, open and closed floor tasks. And I'm just going to click refresh. So I can see which floor currently has the most work done, which has the most work open. So you could avoid certain floors because certain floors are busier than others. So I'm going to click Save and Run, and this will be called a custom floor member tasks. And this will also be a public report so that I can use it in the app. So I'm going to select that and click Save. And now I created 2 reports basically. So now I'm going to go over to Setup, and I'm going to go to Object Manager, and I'm going to go to, I guess, my nurse page, lightning record pages, new, and I'm going to create an app page, and this will just be my custom app. I'm going to press next, and I want main region and right sidebars. So I want the main region, which will be the list view for the nurses. So I'm going to make this the nurse object over here. And then I want the fields to display, I want 10. And for over there, I want the reports that I just created. So I want custom 1 doctor open tasks, and then I want the other report over here. And this will be custom floor tasks. So you can see the currently open floor tasks, and so you can see which floor is busiest and which doctor is busiest. And you're going to click Save, and you're going to click Activate to make this page visible to users. And basically under, let me see which one I select. So you're going to add this to the particular app. So you're going to add page to app, and it's called obviously my custom app. I'm going to make it the first one. I'm going to click Save. And if you watch my hospital mobile management video, you can watch me scroll through the app with the reports open, and I'm going to click, yeah, so that's done there. And then also obviously over here over here I have like that report that I just built. So this is like another page. You can just have all your reports in one place with all of the current data. So, and then you can just access your data really quickly, and you can customize this with all the different components. And yeah, so now I guess that I showed you the reports, I'm going to show you how to enable the notifications. So now on the right hand side of the screen, I'm going to show you how to enable notifications. That's my phone over on the right hand side of the screen, and I'm basically going to so I opened up the Salesforce app and I verified my phone since it was the first time I logged in, and then I clicked menu, and at the bottom right, and I'm going to click app launcher. I'm going to go to the hospital app that we just created, and it has the tabs, nurses, patients, with all the objects and columns associated with each of them. So basically when you go to tasks, you could create a new task here, and you can see the currently outstanding tasks, and you could fill out the fields the same exact way as you would before, and they aggregate live on each of the different objects. So let me go to nurses, and you could actually create custom app pages with each of the objects, which I'll show you how to do now. Because like, look at nurses right now, it just has like all, and I don't know, it looks bad. So if you go over here to your object manager and you filter and you go to nurse, you go to your lightning record pages and do new, and do an app page for this, and then this will just be called our nurse custom, and you press next. And for this, I guess we're going to want the table, and then so we'll just do like one region, I think, for this. Just do one, maybe 2 regions. You get like the tasks. I'll do 2 regions. Press finish. So I want the list view, and the list view, I want this list view to be the nurse, and I want this list view to be the tasks. So I want like 10 records to show, and I want 10 records to show, and basically let me switch over to phone, you could actually also add those reports that I just showed you before. So I want the nurses to be above the tasks. I mean, let me just drag it in that order. So you could have it in whatever order you want for tasks. I mean, I don't want like 3 tasks, so it's not that long. And I mean, you could add it, like if you did the different report, you could add in like report charts and stuff. You can't do paths because it's an app. But basically you could do like the chatter feed. If you watch my enable notifications video, I show you how to create groups, which I'll do that in this video too. So you click save and you click activate and you go to Lightning Experience and you add it to Hospital Management app, and this will be called Nurse Custom. So you're going to click save, and now when I let me see if when I open the app, if it's already refreshed. I'm gonna, it takes like a few seconds to refresh. Let me see how long it takes though. So right now I'm just opening up the app on my phone and I'm going over to menu, and currently the app still doesn't have that. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for, oh yeah, it does now. So now it does. So there's Nurse Custom right there. So I got this Nurse Custom page right here. So basically I could click into the nurse field and I could go to related, and I could see all the floors that they're assigned to, all the patients that they have, or all the activities that they have. So I go to floors and I could be like count of patient tasks, count of floor tasks, or count of patients, count of floors assigned to, and floor tasks. So I see I'm on floor 2. I could go to my patients. I can see I have 4 patient tasks. Currently I have 1 patient. Reason for him being there, he's sick and he's on floor 2. And then I could go to my activities, so I could see all the different tasks that I have. So I have like email, call, and I could click on my tasks, and let's see how many current nurse tasks. I have 2 nurse tasks right now, so let me go back and let me go to my tasks, and I'll go to my tasks, and so if I go over here to email, I guess, and go to details, let me just go to tasks, nurses, all. So I see this guy has 2 tasks and this person has 1 task, this nurse has 1 task. So you could go up here and you could actually click sort, and you could sort by nurse tasks, and it sorts them in ascending order or descending order. So you could sort your nurses by the open tasks, you could sort your patients by open tasks, and let me sort this. So I'll do patient tasks, and then I'll go over to my floors so I can see which floor is the busiest. I'll go to all and I'll sort these by floor tasks, and I can see which ones are the busiest. And I mean, if I go to nurses, and I could see like the count of the floors they currently are assigned to, so I could click on this nurse and I could go to related, and I could be like, what floor is this person on? They're on floor 2. And then I could go over to this nurse, and I see he has 0 floors just from the get-go, but this one has 1 floor, so I can click on them, and then I could drill down to see what floor they're on. And they got 2 patients, and then they got count of floors. He has 2, because that patient has 2 floors associated with him. So let me go over to patients, and I'll click all. So you got 2 patients on different floors, and that's how that works. And I mean, now under task, I could create a new task. I'm just going to create a task, and I'm just going to call it call. No, I'm just going to call it like do stuff, and I'm going to go to floor. I'm going to do floor 3 and hospital 1. The search layout works there too. I'm going to assign it to nurse 3 and patient 2, and I'm going to send it to finished 1 when it's done, and Brian Nolan. So I'm going to click save, and I created that task now. So I did nurse and I did nurse 3. So nurse 3 has a new task now, and now I'm going to go to related, and I go to activities, and I have do stuff right here. So I'm basically going to click in, and I'm going to select So it's a little bit difficult to mark it as completed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here in my Salesforce app, and I'm going to do a compact layout for my mobile phone. So I'm going to go to Setup, and I'm going to go to Object Manager, and for the activity, it's either activity or task. So I'm going to go to Activity. Yeah, it's Task. So I'm going to go to Task. I'm just going to sort by task. So you can create a compact layout so it's a little bit easier to mark stuff off as completed. And over here I'm going to, this would be like my mobile layout. And over here I'm going to select maybe like status, subject, this is like the task. Basically, if you look at my phone here, when you click on a thing, it just has, say it says do stuff there, it just has the subject currently, but I want the status, the subject, and I guess like the patient, and maybe like pick list tasks so I can see where they're going next. I'll click save. That'll be my mobile layout. So I'm going to go to compact layout assignment, edit assignment, and I'm going to do mobile layout and click save. And so now I got like the new mobile layout. So I guess while I wait for this to load, let me introduce you to groups. So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to let me search for the hospital management app, and I'm going to select over here, I'm going to do the pencil, and I'm going to add in certain navigation items that I want. So I'm going to add in chatter. I'm going to add one nav bar and click save. So I just added chatter over here, which is the social media thing. So you can create groups over here. I'm going to press plus, and I'm just going to make this called like my public group. Anyone could ask to join it, and you could add a description and whatever. And you have the owner, and you could allow customers to join it and view the social media feed, because you give 25 user licenses and guest licenses to patients in the hospital. And access type, I'm going to make it public so everyone can join it. You can make it private, and you can only accept certain people. And I'm going to do that, and you could add different users here. They have a plus sign next to them, and press done. And over here under members, you would have the members over here, and you click follow next to them, and anytime they actually get anytime they post stuff, you can get notifications on your phone. So basically, if I have my phone over here, I clicked on my profile, and if you go to settings and push notification settings, you can add a post to a group. So when someone posts something to a group, you get notified. And also over here under task assignments, enable that. And then I'll show you how to do custom notifications in a little bit. But so if someone posts something that you're following on Chatter, you'll be able to get a notification on your phone and your Apple Watch. And I'm going to show you how to build out a custom notification. But let me just go back to like the task thing that I was working on before. Let me see if that updated in the app. And if that didn't, then I'll just build out the mobile notifications, custom notifications, and then I will basically do that then while I wait for it to update. So go into nurses, activities. Yeah, so now when I go to my the compact layout already did, so I got like the subject, the patient assigned to next, and basically I could check that, and that marks it as completed. So now this nurse has less activities and less tasks associated with them. So let me go over to, I guess, this nurse. Nurse 1 has 2 tasks currently. So I click under related, and I go to activities, and I'll check email, and I'll check that, so that's completed. So now this nurse has 1 activity. So it's very simple, and I mean also when you check off the activities, if they happen to have like finish task 1 here, obviously it gets sent here. So what you can do here is, alright, this is like the next level, so instead of being finish task 1 name, this could be a person's name, and you could send activities to whichever person you want, because obviously when you're creating the task, you could select finish 1, finish 2, and finish 3. So over here, I'm going to click in here, and I'm just going to move this to finish 2 now. So I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to refresh. So obviously now there's only one under finished 1, and then if I go to like finish task 2 and I go over here, so now I have 2 under finished 2. I'm going to move this guy back to 1, so I'm going to select here and mark that. So now there's only 1 under 2, and then I'm going to go back to 1 and go over here. So now that this is all over here, so I can move this to, so you could basically just keep moving in between the tasks between the people after you're done with it. And you could also auto update all of your tasks, and I mean, you could create new tasks. So if I go to create a task, I'll do like new task, and over here under like pick list task, you could say who it's going to next, and then you can move them after they get completed. And I mean, you could quickly just drill down and see all of your different things. And I'm going to enable like I'll show you like the notification stuff now. So if you go over here, and I'm going to basically just follow along with my notes real quick. Let me just find my notes. And I mean, so if you want to enable notifications when you first create your mobile app, I recommend that you verify your phone, and if you didn't, you can delete the app and reinstall the app and verify your phone. So basically under here you're going to click settings, and you're going to go over to activity settings, and you're going to make sure all those are checked and click save, and then you're going to go over to on your app. So let me bring up my app again. You're going to go to your profile, and I already did this, but you're going to go to profile, and you're going to click here and go to settings, push notification settings, and you're going to check task assignments, and so that's good. And then basically I'm going to go over to my so you're going to go to settings on your phone. So you go over to settings on your phone, and you go to, so settings is that gear icon on your phone. Let me just bring up this. So it's this gear icon, and let me just open mine up, and basically you're going to scroll down to notifications, and you're going to scroll down to Salesforce, and Salesforce, you're going to allow notifications, and you're going to allow sounds and previews, so that's good. And let me see what else I'm going to do. So in your Salesforce app, what you basically do is you go to setup, and you do app manager, and you click here, and what you're going to do is you're going to do Salesforce for iOS. Right down here you're going to click manage, and you're going to select under you're not going to do anything here, but this is pretty cool. And you're going to go to your Salesforce notifications, and you're going to click here, and you're going to enable both these and click save, and then you're going to go over to notification delivery settings, and you're going to open this up. And under activities, obviously you get task assignments on mobile as indicated by that check. So down here under custom notifications, you're going to click custom notifications, and you're going to select new up here, and you're just going to call this custom notification 1, and you're going to do this on desktop and mobile. Click save, and back over here you're going to refresh this notification delivery settings page, and you're going to select here and click edit, and then enable it for Salesforce for iOS, and you're going to click save, and then you're going to basically open up your app. And let me just close out my app and open it up again. So now when you click your profile and you go to settings and you go to push notification settings, you have this down here, custom notification 1. Just check that off and you'll get notifications for when this notification goes off. And to basically enable this notification, you're going to go over to settings, setup, and you're going to go to process builder, and we're going to create a process builder for this notification. So to do it, you're basically going to do let's just do, we'll call it like, you can make as many process builders as you want, and I'm just going to call this like nurse task done, like nurse 1 task done, and I'll do when a record changes, and I'll add an object, and I'll just do like I guess it's either task or nurse. I'll just do task. So only when a record is created or edited, click save. And for this, actually I'll just do, let me go back and do that again. I'm going to just do nurse task 1 done, nurse 1 task done, and do it when a record changes. I'm going to add an object, and I'm going to do a nurse object, and when it's created or edited, save, add criteria, nurse 1 task done. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to select nurse tasks, choose, and I'm just going to be like is changed and true. So if the nurse task changes, I just want to get notified, and I'm going to click save, add action, and send custom notification. Custom notification 1, doesn't matter where you type the error, and I'm going to select that. And for the user, I want to user field from a record and created by ID and user ID. So the person who will receive the notification will be the person who created, who made this task get assigned or not get assigned. So or you do like owner ID user. So what the notification will be like nurse tasks, and then you could say like that, and you could just type whatever you want down here for the body. You could say nurse tasks currently. So I'm going to click save, and I'm going to click activate and confirm, and basically now I guess let me just create a task over in the app. So I'm going to go to the app, and I'm going to select tasks, and I'm going to go to new task, and I'm going to do floor 3, hospital 1, nurse 1, and I'm going to assign this person a task and click save. So my phone just got a notification that said 2 nurse tasks currently, and obviously over here I have 2 nurse tasks for nurse 1, so I'm going to create another task and show that again. So I'm going to go over here to nurse task, I'm going to select email, and I'm going to basically do that, and I'm going to select that, and I'm going to select nurse 1, and I'm going to assign them patient 1, and it'll go here when they're done, and it'll go to this person when they're done. So let me bring up my phone right here, and I'll bring up the app so you could see it. You don't have to be in the app to see it, but I'll just have the app open anyway. And basically I'm going to click save. So it says 3 nurse tasks currently, and if I'm in a different app, the notification looks different. So let me I'll go to task and new task. So I'll do call and whatever, search floors, hospital, nurse 1 again, and that patient here when they're done, and that. So I'll click save. So that's what the notification looks like over there. So it just keeps counting up because that nurse just keeps getting different amounts of tasks. And obviously you can assign different nurses tasks. So let me go to call, and I'll do floor 2 and hospital 1, and I'll do nurse 2. Obviously this, I think, go over here and do that, and I'll click save. So that nurse has 1 task currently. So yeah, that's how that works. You could just keep getting notifications for how busy each of the nurses are, and you could set it up in a way that you're getting notifications only for you. And then also, I mean, you have your groups too. I show you in my notification settings how to auto post to groups when tasks get assigned. So you could actually get notifications based on the group, and you could auto post to the group when you get assigned a task too. So you get notifications on your phone and in your app, and also, I mean, when you click here and you on your phone, you mark off the task as you click here and mark as complete. And obviously, you got notifications now. You only have three notifications, so you get live updates as you finish your work. And you click here and basically mark this as complete, and you can just get notifications all the time. So yeah, that's why this is useful. And I mean, when you're over here, you can move tasks from here to you could just check all these off, and you can check all these. I don't have access to change these records, but normally you can. You could bulk move them from here to a different place. I'm not sure why it's not marked currently, but I'll do that. And so you can move the task to a different page, and so after it's done, you could just like streamline and move the task back and forth. So I'll move that there now, and